Good morning, students. Today let us study about hierarchical clustering. This is a part of Unit 5. Firstly, let us see the key takeaways for today's session. So we will basically have an introduction to clustering, and then we will study about hierarchical clustering and introduction to it. Then we will be studying about the various types of hierarchical clustering. They are basically agglomerative clustering and divisive clustering, and then these are basically the approaches of the hierarchical clustering, and then working of agglomerative clustering followed by certain assignments related to specifically this one. So hierarchical clustering is an unsupervised technique where the labels are not given any specific name. Hierarchical clustering is better than k-means clustering because k-means clustering has to predetermine the number of clusters. You have to know how many clusters you want to, and also of the same size. Whereas hierarchical clustering, you do not have to know the number of clusters you want to create, right? And also it is very popular in industry. There are basically two types of hierarchical clustering, that is agglomerative and divisive, which is called as Agnes and Dynes, and they are basically following a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. Now let us see more about it. So first let us see about clustering. So clustering analysis or clustering is an unsupervised learning task, and it involves automatically discovering natural grouping in the data. So clustering or cluster analysis is a machine learning technique which groups the unlabeled data set. So unlike supervised learning like predictive modeling, clustering algorithms only interpret the input and input data and find a natural group of clusters in the feature space, that is natural group or clusters in the feature space. So hierarchical clustering in machine learning is, as I told you, another supervised machine learning algorithm which is used to group the unlabeled data set into a cluster, and also known as hierarchical cluster analysis, that is HCA. So in this algorithm, we develop the hierarchy of clusters in the form of a tree. So a tree structure is drawn, and the hierarchy of the clusters is considered in the form of a tree, and this tree structure is basically known as a dendrogram. Please note it is known as a dendrogram. So sometimes, as I told you, the results of k-means clustering and hierarchical clustering may look similar, but they work in a very different manner. They both differ depending on how they work. So as there is no requirement to predetermine the number of clusters as we did in case of k-means. So in k-means we need to determine how many clusters we want to know, and it basically does have the same size. So you have two approaches for hierarchical clustering, that is agglomerative and divisive. Let us see more about agglomerative. So this is basically a bottom-up approach in which the algorithm starts with all the data points as a single cluster, and then it starts merging them until one cluster is left. So this is commonly referred to as AGNES, where AGNES stands for agglomerative nesting, and this works in a bottom-up approach. So agglomerative clustering is good at identifying small size clusters. So divisive algorithm is basically a reverse of agglomerative algorithm. It is a top-down approach, and this is commonly referred to as DINA, that is divisive analysis, and it works in a top-down manner. Right? So this is DINA is basically reverse of AGNES, and it begins with a root in which all the observations are included in a single cluster, and at each step of the algorithm the current cluster is split into two clusters, and these are considered as the most heterogeneous clusters. Right? And the process is iterated until all the observations are in its own cluster. So divisive hierarchical clustering is better in identifying large clusters of a bigger size. This is basically a dendrogram, which is a tree-like structure, and this is also called as a cluster dendrogram. And you can see we have shown an arrow for AGNES, which is moving from bottom to top, so bottom-up approach, and DINA is basically flowing from top to down, so it is top-down approach. So the dendrograms are drawn in between, which are basically based on the Euclidean distance between the clusters. We will see more about it. So k-means clustering is also one of the good clustering. But why there is a specific need for hierarchical clustering is because k-means is predetermined based on the number of clusters you have. You have to know in advance how many clusters you want, and it will always try to create the clusters of the same size. So these two challenges are basically overcome in hierarchical clustering algorithm, and because we don't need to have knowledge about the predefined number of clusters. So hierarchical clustering can work even at real-time data or runtime data. Now the agglomerative hierarchical clustering algorithm is a popular example of HCA. So to group the data sets into the clusters, it follows the bottom-up approach as we discussed. So it means that this algorithm considers each data set as a single cluster at the beginning and then start combining the closest pair of clusters together. Let us see about it step by step. So this is done until all the clusters are merged into a single cluster that contains all the data set. So this hierarchy of cluster is represented in the form of a dendrogram. Now this is basically the stepwise procedure where agglomerative hierarchical clustering works. In the first step, all the points are given. Here you can see you have blue, green, brown, right, dots. So we will try to cluster them. So we try to create each data point as a single cluster. So individual data point is a single cluster, and assume that there are n data points. So here we have around 6 points, right? So the number of clusters will be n. So we'll be having currently around 6 clusters. Then we go on merging. Then next two is we consider two closest points. There you can see in the figure we have a blue and a brown cluster that is clubbed together, right? So these are the closest point and or the clusters, and then merge them to form one cluster. So there will be n minus 1 clusters. Then in the step 3, there are two closest clusters and we try to merge them together to form one cluster. So there will be n minus 2 clusters by this step. So here you can see we have two clusters, two of brown points and two of blue points, right? So they are clubbed together. Then we have step 4, that is we repeat step 3 until one cluster is left. So points are repeated till step 3 is repeated until one cluster is left. So here you can see a single cluster is clubbed together, right? So there is a formation of a cluster of blue points. So we will get clusters shown in the figures. Here you can see we have 3 clusters in the first figure, 3 blue points in a single cluster and 2 brown points in a single cluster, and then we have 3 blue points in a single cluster and 3 brown points in a single cluster, and then finally we have the blue point cluster. So we'll get the clusters as it is shown in the figure. So the last step is once all the clusters are combined into one big cluster, develop the dendrogram to divide the clusters as per the problem. So after this the dendrogram will be drawn. So there are various ways basically to calculate the distance between the two clusters, and they are termed as linkage methods. Right? And these ways decide the rules of clustering. So these measures are called as linkage methods. Right? So you have various type of linkage methods. First one is single linkage. So this is the one in which the shortest distance between the closest point of the cluster is considered. So here you can see the blue point and the brown point, that is considered as the shortest distance, so that forms the single linkage. Then we have complete linkage. So this is considered the farthest distance between the 2 points of the 2 different clusters. So it is one of the popular linkage methods as it forms tighter clusters than the single linkage. So this is basically complete linkage. Then we have the average linkage. In this case, the distance between each pair of data set is added, and then the total number of the data set is, the total is divided by the total number of data sets to calculate the average distance. So it is like simple calculating the average as we do between the two clusters. So it is one of the most popular linkage methods which will give you the best result. Then we have the centroid linkage. It is a linkage method in which the distance between the centroid of the clusters is calculated. Centroid is the center point which is shown in the diagram. This is basically a type of the different types of linkage methods that are shown. We have the complete linkage, we have the single linkage, we have the average linkage method, and this is Ward's linkage method, which is also one of the other methods just shown in the diagram. So these are basically the measure for distances between the two clusters. Now let us see the working of dendrogram and the hierarchical cluster. So you can see here the clusters are drawn of various sides, and then we are trying to cut the cluster's dendrogram, right, on a specific height. So the height considered here is based on the Euclidean distance. Like for example, here you have P1 and P2 and P3, right? So P2 and P3 are clubbed into a single cluster. So we are drawing a dendrogram there. We are drawing a tree-like structure between them, and then we are trying to cut it, trying to show that a cluster is there between them. So similarly for the other points it will be done. So here the dendrogram can be cut at any point, dendrogram can be drawn at any point, but the cluster size, the size of the height of the points cluster will be as per the Euclidean distance. Let us see more about it in detail. So firstly here, the data points P2 and P3 as specified in the figure are combined together and they form a cluster. So correspondingly a dendrogram is created which connects P2 and P3 with a rectangular shape. So here you can see P2 and P3, there is a rectangular shape that is drawn and they are connected, and a dendrogram is drawn between them, a tree-like structure is drawn between them. So the height is decided according to the Euclidean distance between the data points. So that is the distance between P2 and P3 is considered, and the height is the Euclidean distance between them. So in the next step, P5 and P6, they form a cluster and the corresponding dendrogram is created. So in the it is higher than the previous one because the distance is more, as the Euclidean distance between P5 and P6 is a little greater than P2 and P3. Now again two new dendrograms are created, and that combines P1, P2 and P3 because they form a cluster within a cluster, and that is one dendrogram, and P4, P5 and P6 in another dendrogram. So at last the final dendrogram is created that combines all the data points together. So we can cut the dendrogram tree structure at any level as per our requirement. So these are some of the assignments for today's topic. It's related to clustering and the working of dendrogram hierarchical clustering in detail, which we discussed, and the working of agglomerative clustering in detail. So these are some of the questions for today's topic, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to connect me to with the specified email ID, and if you have any queries, do not hesitate. So we are done with this topic. Stay connected to learn more topics about hierarchical clustering. Thank you. We are done.